Zoom meeting information. Item B, roll call. Chair Seth, I am here. Vice Chair Ned Dorff.
Present.
Alder Stoyer. Not seeing him here.
He's excused.
He's excused. All right, great. And then John Hart. Not seeing him. I didn't hear from him about being excused. Stephanie is not here either. I didn't hear from her. Amy she reached out. She is excused. Corey Min.
Present.
Julia Nordyke.
Present.
And Mark Walter.
Present.
All right, and that we do have quorum, correct?
Yeah, so John is absent, did you say?
Yeah, John's not here, and I did not hear from him. But Amy, I did hear from.
And Stephanie Dodge.
Yeah, not here, and I didn't hear from her.
Okay.
So welcome Alderman Grant to the meeting. Thanks for joining us. And as usual, thanks for the sisters for coming as well. We'll move on then to approval of the agenda for today's meeting, June 15th. Do we have a motion to approve?
Moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Ned, second by Mark. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the ayes have it. We'll move on to approval of the minutes from our last meeting back in April 20th of 2022. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
By Ned, seconded by
Second.
Julia. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All right, I'm moving right along then. We do not have any submissions this month for regular business. I think this might be a somewhat quick meeting, but we do have a number of exciting informational items. So we will start, I guess, with the Next Trex Plastic Film Recycling Challenge update. And is that going to be you, Melissa? Or Mark?
That is Corey Mim.
Oh, Corey, sorry. Corey, take it away.
Yeah, the program is still quite successful, I would say. So from December 16th was when our last challenge started, because it's a 6-month window to get the bench if we receive the 500 pounds of plastic. So we started December 16th. And then through the most recent, so there hasn't been a weight done in about a week, but or so, but I would say within that time frame, we collected 2,150 pounds of plastic. So we definitely exceeded our goal of the 500 to get another bench, and are planning to continue with the program for another 6 months to get another bench. Good.
Corey, is there a plan for like placement of the benches beyond, every 6 months you're gonna get a bench and put it someplace? I mean, do you have kind of a priority list of locations?
Not really, but we're definitely open to suggestions. I think, I had mentioned it, well, where are we going to put this one? And there was a thought to put it at the wildlife sanctuary again, maybe where, the other collection bin is. Potentially at City Hall too could be nice, but I know there could be some issues with where does it go and, well, not necessarily issues, but I know there's certain fire access issues and things like that, but I know there are benches in the hallway, so we could potentially put one there if folks felt that, it would be useful to have it in that space. We just couldn't put it right next to the collection, I don't think. So definitely open to suggestions.
Well, speaking on behalf of the recycling facility in the MRF, way to go. You know, every pound out of recycling bins and out of garbage is incredibly valuable. Only way they're going to get recycled. So since we can't do anything else with them right now, I'm really happy about that. Between you guys and De Pere, you know, we're taking thousands of pounds of a year out of the waste stream. So it's great.
Yeah, really exciting update. Thank you, Corey, for all your work on that. And thank you for helping me clear some cabinet space because I made a pretty sizable donation myself. Did we have any other questions or thoughts for Corey or for this project here?
Is there any like tracking of how much, or are we gonna do an annual kind of, like at the end of the year, we can kind of say how much that program has helped save?
Yeah, I know that the city has been posting updates on the amount that we're collecting on social media, but I can't necessarily say specifically where it's being posted because I'm not doing those updates. I could look into it, but I know that we are continuing, you know, to do that, to promote it as a city, you know, ongoing. But again, you know, if you think there are other places we could be advertising, or you know what I mean, to sort of make it even more successful, again, we're open to suggestions for anything like that.
Yeah, I don't want to give anybody more work. So if it's easy, yeah, but I do know, you know, having numbers of pounds, Mark just made me like, remember, like that's a really great metric, like at the end of the year or something. That's like one thing we're doing that we could keep track of. And it's a great number, you know, so.
Yeah, and I think too, you know, they say the 500 pounds to make a bench. I think that too is kind of a good measure for people to understand, you know, the result of the work, that the effort that they're putting in to contributing, you know, so. Which I think has been advertised, but I don't know if we're continuing with that message. So it could be useful for us to tell it again.
All right. Any other questions or thoughts on this project? Excellent. Thanks for the update and for all the work, Corey. Moving on then to the OEI Comprehensive Energy Planning Grant. Melissa, I'll let you take it away.
Sure. So the planning grant, we still have not received the grant contract from the Public Service Commission, so we are waiting on that. We won't start any work until we have a grant contract in hand, and then that will probably go to Finance Committee. Since Water Utility and Green Bay Metro Transit are also partners in this grant, they have to also go through their respective boards with the grant as well, because the city's contributing some of the money for the cash match, and so is Water Utility, and so is Transit. So it has to go through the proper channels to be able to accept the grant money from the PSC. We're hoping we have a contract by the end of this month so that we can get that going through the proper channels within city of Green Bay. And I did meet with the Water Utility last week just to go over some of the expectations as a partner, and who our team from the Sustainability Commission. Seth, I know you pledged a certain amount of hours towards the grant. So did Water Utility, and what some of those expectations are as far as you know, the time and some of the things that we might need for the grant, whether it's data or help with some of the outreach and education tasks with the grant as well. And then also I met several people from the Water Utility who will be serving on our part of the project team for the grant as well. So that was very helpful. And they're excited to get it started just as much as we are. So that's all I have on that right now. Does anyone have any questions? I will note to Sister Sally, we do, you know, since the sisters are one of our matching contributors for the grant, once we have that in place, I'll be in touch with you for the contribution that's coming from the sisters.
Awesome. Thanks for the update, Melissa. Very, very exciting news. We'll move on then to the Green Stormwater Infrastructure Code Amendment update. Will that be you, Melissa?
Mhm.
Alrighty.
So for this item, the last time, so we, at the last Common Council meeting, all of the proposed ordinance amendments were at second reading, and all of them went through with the exception of one that was for the landscaping standards. And that is being held until I believe the August 2nd council meeting. Staff from the planning department and public works are going to be meeting with the Home Builders Association to try to address some of their questions that they had regarding the code amendments as it regards, like, mostly for parking lot landscaping. So it was really great news, you know, they went through, you know, so that's really the last one. And, you know, we're glad that the home builders offered input, you know, because they are, you know, they're a stakeholder as well. So we were pleased that they reached out. And if you notice, like in this item, I started using the word green stormwater infrastructure instead of just green infrastructure. I have received some feedback since some of the past council meetings that maybe that would be a better term to use just because it's more descriptive. And so going forward, you'll be hearing GSI instead of just GI, because green infrastructure really pertains to stormwater management is for how we'll be approaching it. So any questions?
No, congratulations. I know that was a long journey, a few years journey. So that's
Yeah.
really great. And that, I mean, that just, I think it's great that the Home Builders Association also reached out because that's really how these kind of things can succeed, when we all have, you know, all the different perspectives are able to weigh in, and like what gets adopted is really, you know, not customized, but like, it's like you have buy-in from everybody, and it's, you know, it fits the community. So I think that's great. And then it sets us up for years, you know, forever. So those were really important if you think about future investments over the next few decades.
Mm-hmm.
Melissa, could I ask about, as far as landscaping ordinance changes, will any of that affect what we can do right now as far as the landscape ordinances that we went over like a year ago?
You mean it with the planned natural landscapes?
Correct.
Well, those went through, that went through last year. So that really pertains mostly to residential properties. I mean,
Right.
Technically it could apply to commercial and business properties as well, but that's really aimed more at single family, maybe maybe duplexes that want to do a planned natural landscape within their yard.
Mhm.
and registering for that. So what went through June 7th, I think that was the date of the council meeting. I think it was June 7th. Really has no bearing on the planned natural landscapes that were part of the whole part of the noxious weeds and maintenance of vegetation part of our code. So yeah, shouldn't have any impact on that. You know, we are putting the planned natural landscape is part of the Public Works website, you know, with an online portal to be able to apply and submit plans. We received a handful last year already.
Mhm.
So I think as the word gets out more about what green stormwater infrastructure is and some of the different varieties of green infrastructure, I think we'll see more people utilizing that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mhm.
All right, thanks, Melissa, for the update. And yeah, again, great work, really exciting to see that go forward. We'll move on then to item 4. Do we have any work group updates? And then we'll finish with our member updates. But if there are any work groups that have updates, you can go now.
I'm sorry, what's the difference between a member and a work group update?
We have the pollinator work group. We have the clean energy work group. So the established subgroups that we have that are a little bit more formalized. Gonna guess that we don't. I don't have anything from the clean energy group. I think the OEI grant was the bulk of that. So we'll just move on then to other member updates, which is any update that we have.
Yeah, and I'll throw this back at Ned. You mentioned the pollinator work group, and as a corollary to that, we advocated for No Mow May, and that looked like pretty successful. I was curious if there is an update in terms of how many people participated citywide. It was funny because in my neighborhood, signs just kept on popping up every couple of days. A sign would pop up throughout my neighborhood, which I thought was really neat. But I didn't know if there was a final number or some measure of how successful it was overall. Ned, I don't know if you have any additional information or if Melissa does.
Melissa and I have talked about that, but she's probably got the official records now. I know we passed the what we thought might be the amount of people that signed up, so it turned out to be really positive.
Yeah, I can provide an update on that, Mark. So when we started this, we planned by purchasing 1,000 signs for Green Bay. De Pere, since we were partnering with De Pere, they purchased their own signs and the QR codes were different and everything like that. But for Green Bay, we planned on 1,000. We had over 1,200 registered people for No Mow May. And then we also had a fair amount of people from outside of the city of Green Bay that wanted to register through Green Bay's online registration. So, that was kind of a not so fun task of weeding through some of the registrations to find out that, you live in Alloway, or Pulaski. I'm not kidding, Pulaski. And it was really, it was fun. It was a little bit more work than I bargained for. But I think going forward, we'll purchase more signs. And I would say overall, it was really successful. People did, give us feedback on, perhaps we should have a longer registration period, or just give everybody a free pass, which I don't recommend for a city of our size. So what we're doing right now as staff of the staff team that implemented No Mow May is we're in the evaluation stage right now of, while it's still fresh in our minds, what worked well and what we can improve for next year.
Yeah, I got a lot of positive feedback too from people who were doing it. And then one recommendation for next year that I heard from someone was, could we do a later pickup of yard waste, like spring pickup? Because there were a lot of people that were waiting to, cut and bag or whatever, put things out at the curb until the end of May. That was the one change that was brought up to me.
Holder Grant, do you want to weigh in?
Thank you. Yeah, I just had a question. Do you guys, with the signs after, do you encourage people to possibly turn those back in so you don't have to remake them every year, save on cost and disposal of them?
We encouraged people through the website and through social media to hold on to them for next year. So they can reuse those signs, because that's really the most sustainable practice, is to reuse them. You know, they could also repurpose them for a different, you know, if they're going to do a yard sale or something like that, you know, by putting paper over it and making a different sign. So for next year, what the plan will be is on the registration form, there's going to be a checkbox, so that if they already have a sign, they can say, I already have a sign, and we can, you know, we can double check that, we can cross-reference that with all of our past registrants. So it wouldn't be, and if they don't, then they can come and get a different sign. But logistically, the decision was made not to ask people to bring them back into the east side or the west side garages or City Hall, just because it really, the way some of the two garages are set up, it's not like a big customer service type of center where they always have somebody at the front desk to receive things. So for those reasons, we did not ask for the signs back.
Thank you. I'd like to say though that I know the city of De Pere was requesting residents to return the signs. But I also know that for me, it was difficult because of the hours that they were available to be open for pickup and drop off, you know, because it's pretty much the same hours as our City Hall. And so I guess what I found was just that time frame of the pickup and or drop off was difficult.
And one thing to note is that out of those 1,200 some registrations, roughly 10% did not come to pick up a sign.
I do know Parks Department participated in NOMO, kind of unintentionally, because we're having a difficult time getting enough staff. So it was helpful for us to be able to do that. What I haven't gotten an update on though is, and what I'm most curious about is how was the first mow on those sites. And I can find out more information about that and get back to you. But I know that that could definitely be kind of the not so fun or great result of the no mow is the first mow. So I know I did it at home. My first mow was great. It worked well. But it's interesting to see in a larger application, you know, in a different site where maybe the grass is more lush or something, if there were complications with that.
We will be, through our GIS department, we're going to quantify the total acreage of parcels that participated in NOMOME. So we'll have more numbers to put behind the program.
Yeah, I can tell you I have a very lush backyard. The dog fertilizes nicely. And my Scottish Terrier, who stands, you know, 1.5 feet tall, maybe, was shorter than the grass all the way. It took me 2 days to mow my backyard, basically, because my electric mower died. So yeah, it was very successful in my yard in those terms. And I've only mowed my front yard once since then. So yeah, but I think it was very successful. And I could see a lot of people in my area, regardless of the signs, seem to be participating one way or another, whether it was intentional or unintentional. So I'd be very curious to see if there's next year, if there's an additional group that saw the signs and then said, hey, you know, I did it anyway, or I want to be noticed, or whatever goes on. Anyway, I think it was a great initiative.
And I'd like to put in a word for, you know, mowing, go ahead and mow in late May. If your mower is not going to be able to handle it. I've done it now twice that way, kind of letting it grow, and then you know, you mow after that first crop of dandelions or whatever, and another one's going to come up, and it's okay. Like, you don't have to be 100% pure about it, but it is changing mindsets, and I think that's the big deal.
Yeah, all the grass I picked up anyway went into my compost, so it just took that long because I have a battery powered mower and the battery died, and it takes another day or 4 hours to recharge. So
So speaking of dandelions, I'm just curious, I came across a project sign in downtown Green Bay that talks about they're promoting the planting of a pink dandelion. And I had never heard of that. They give a scientific name and it's got like a QR code for the Facebook page, but they're encouraging the planting of this pink dandelion. And we are looking into it a little more with the Conservation Corps coordinator, but I don't know, just thought it was interesting and was wondering if anybody else heard of the initiative and should I be planting pink dandelions? Okay, well, we're looking into it more. So if I find out some good info, I can share.
Awesome. Any other questions or comments on the No Mow May program? Awesome. Just big shout out to Melissa and Ned and Corey and everybody else that worked really hard on it. It was really cool to see that all across town. Do we have any other member updates of any topic?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mark. No, go ahead, Mark.
I was going to say I did meet with Greener Bay composter guy yesterday and talk about a variety of topics dealing with food waste, composting, and the like. He has moved a number, a certain part of his operation outside of town. He's actually got some parcel of land in Shawano County now, so he can expand and go into the future. But it did bring up some interesting ideas just in terms of how do we start implementing a citywide composting process? What does it entail? Are there some ordinance changes that may have to come into play in terms of storing food waste or storing compost at a residential facility, being able to do some of those things I haven't even really had a chance to look at on my end, but going forward, things we'll probably have to talk about. More importantly, though, is that with the infrastructure funding at the federal level, US EPA is making organics waste reduction a priority, and they've had a couple of informational sessions over the last month on some of the grants that are going to be available, and organic collection, food waste, yard waste, whatever is a priority for them. I saw just today that they probably aren't going to have any grants available or even defined exactly until this fall, but it's certainly something that would be a way of at least kickstarting a pilot program or, allowing us to look at some broader things there. I don't know, John, if the university has looked at any of that money, any of those grants yet, or any of the programs that EPA has talked about. I know you guys are invested in food waste collection as well. And so is the county now. I mean, that's going to be one of our priorities in the long run. Anything we can do to reduce the amount of organic waste going into our landfill. Now that we own the landfill and operate it, it's even more important. So I'll keep an eye on it because it's very important to many of my colleagues and myself. And it's certainly maybe a way of providing some funding, but it would have to be, from what I've seen, the city would have to be somewhere down the line, or the county or the university, something like that. But it's something we'll have to continue to follow up on, and then better define what we're actually talking about to get to that goal of having at least a pilot program citywide within the next few years.
Yeah, I would say, Mark, right now the university is meeting its needs with the composting unit that we have, but it's definitely been an interest of mine. So I think as we look forward in terms of grants that are available, I'm sure the university would love to partner with this.
You and I need to talk some more then and see what we can come up with. And we've worked together before. It doesn't hurt us to work together going into the future. So yeah.
Exactly.
I can go really quick. 2 quick things. Yesterday, I attended the Brown County Water Summit. So Troy Streckenbach, County Executive Streckenbach, held a water summit. He's been trying to hold this for like 3 years. But the goal was to bring together all the municipalities in Brown County. So there was staff and elected officials from many of the town, like many of the communities, town of Rockland, Alloway, Bellevue, De Pere, Green Bay, Steve Grenier was there. And then also a couple state legislators, Senator Coles and then Representative Shay Sortwell was also there. So it was a good event, and we broke out and talked about several different topics. I hosted a table about nature-based solutions and green stormwater infrastructure. So I think the city of Green Bay is kind of, definitely providing some inspiration to some of our other communities. So there's a lot of interest in that in general. So that's just good to know. Also, Brown County recently with their ARPA funds, this is actually related to my next update, the East River Collaborative project that I helped co-lead with the Nature Conservancy and New Water. Has been going really well over the last couple of years, and we meet with many of the municipalities in the East River, including rural, suburban, developing, and our urban areas, the city of Green Bay. And I kind of help pull in the city of Green Bay stuff. But side projects of that work have been going well. So Brown County, using ARPA funds, approved the development of an East River water trail. So water trail is, adding kayak launches and access points and developing and clearing out some of the brush that might be in the river. So that's really exciting. The group has been working on that, and they have funding to move forward on that. Also, our East River Fellow will continue for the next couple of years to help us do on the ground community planning with our flood modeling work. And also we found out the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is going to be partnering with us for the next couple of years. They have small pots of funding to help with 3 items. One is a flood warning system with the National Weather Service, which is really exciting. And then another is individual community emergency planning, like tabletop exercises, phone trees, and helping do maybe translation of materials into other languages. And then the third thing will be actually doing some flood storage modeling assessment for the whole watershed too. So that project's going really well. It's really exciting. More people just keep, and then also we receive funding, and the TNC is working with multiple municipalities along the East River to do pollinator plantings. So I think it's Ledgeview, Alloway, and the city of Green Bay. I'm sure Corey can talk about that. But also there is some funding to do some engineering design of stream bank erosion. And I think it's moving in the direction of picking somewhere in Baird Creek, which is great news too. So those kind of things will provide the continuous impetus, like if we can find on the ground projects to help design, and I think implementation dollars aren't too far behind. So, the Village of Bellevue, all the communities have been really great and really interested in working on flooding resilience, but from a nature-based perspective, really engaged. Sorry, I do have one more thing. I just came across my email since someone else mentioned a grant, but this is a grant by our National Endowment for the Arts, and it is to bring together to support or pilot or continued art projects, and part of it can be built into environmental projects. So I think the applications are due in August, but if that's something, I don't know, maybe there's a rain barrel painting thing or something we could do with one of your other projects. Maybe, talk to the Art Commission, I don't know. So that could be something that really could be, I think, a great thing for our community too, if we have the right project.
Awesome. Thanks for the updates, Julia. Do we have any questions for Julia or any other updates from folks? Corey?
So I have sent a memo to Alder Steuer regarding the promotional materials budget. And so I'm just not sure what the next steps are. I think he's going to maybe take that to look for funding. but I haven't really heard any updates from him. I guess I don't know, Melissa, or anybody else has, but anyway, I've given him that information. Hopefully we can find the funding somewhere and then buy promotional materials and promote the commission. So there's that. And also wanted to let you all know, we still haven't found out on the grant award for the Green Bay Conservation Corps program, but we will find out soon. I believe it's the end of July, but we're looking to start recruitment, like actually accepting applications towards the end of this month or beginning of July. So, you know, that it's dependent on the on receiving the funding. But we don't want to get too far behind in recruitment, because if we do get the funding, we're expecting to bring members on in September. So the information's on our website. People can reach out to me or Maria or the Parks Department, and we can get them to that application. The members are paid a living allowance, so it's not necessarily an hourly wage, kind of like a typical job. It's a typical AmeriCorps program, if people are familiar with that. So just wanted to let you know, we're getting really close to recruiting. We are promoting now at farmers markets and things like that. And what we found actually through the promoting already for members is that we're getting a lot of interested volunteers as well. So that's pretty exciting. And our intention with the program is to kind of develop a good process and volunteer base and things like that to help with the conservation efforts. So I'd say we're getting just as many interested in the volunteering as we are in becoming a member, which is great, I think. So I think that's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Corey. Any questions for Corey or any other updates from folks tonight?
One of our last items that went to council was sent back down to us. It was about the dark sky ordinance. So we're going to retake a look at that and maybe narrow it down, looking at streetlights, municipal operations, and possible traffic safety measures. Dave Hansen brought up safety measures, engineer from DPW, with lights shining into roads that would distract motorists. So going to try to collaborate with him a little bit this summer to pare that down and take a look at what we can do on a reduced basis.
Awesome. Thank you, Ned. Any questions on that or any other updates from folks? All right, hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, motion by Julia. Is there a second by Mark? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening.
Thank you.